of the Arab Writers Group, which is an all-Arab writing syndicate for newspaper. He's a journalist. He is the guy that actually started getting my career out there, and I'm very thankful for that. And what else? He's been a comedian for years, and very funny, and a good friend of mine. Raise the price of the check I'm getting, and I'll keep talking. More money. Give it up for Hanania!
How are you guys? I made Aliyah. She broke up with me though after. Are those your wives in the front row, sir? 4 of them? Where'd the one go? I was going to buy her. We have the Israeli-Palestinian comedy tour. Normally we have 3 Jews and an Arab. When we're in Israel, we're sophisticated. We're the Israeli-Palestinian comedy tour. When we're in the United States, we've got to dumb down. 3 Jews and an Arab. When we're in the West Bank, it's Ray Hanania and the 3 hostages. When it's in the Gaza Strip, it's the 4 hostages. I'm not Pakistani, I'm not Iranian, I don't blow things up. I'm Arab. I pay people to do that. Not just an Arab, I'm a Palestinian. But all that means is I don't look at you as an audience. I like to think of you all as potential hostages. Now, I am a Christian, an Arab, a Palestinian, a journalist, a comedian married to a Jew. No wonder I have no friends. And I tell you, I come from a land as a Palestinian that's so violent. I mean, we all know this, right? The killing, the murder, the bombings, the hostage-taking. That's why I never go back to the south side of Chicago. I come from a place, and I live in Orland Park, but I grew up in Chicago. And really, Chicago and the Middle East have a lot in common. We both have dictators who can barely speak English. In the Middle East, when a Palestinian or Arab government leader says he supports a Palestinian state, we know he's full of BS, okay? When Mayor Daley says he supports a Pakistani state, we know what he means. I didn't scare that woman away, did I? Because, you know, you guys are going to be okay, though, right, in the front row? If anything happens to you guys, die or anything like that, I go to jail for 18 months under the Patriot Act, no questions asked. My fault, whatever that happens. I don't know, I was born in Chicago, and I'll tell you what, Americans, you know, I love this country, but Americans are the most in the world, but the least educated about the world. We don't know the difference between a Pakistani, a Palestinian, an Iranian, an Indian, a good president, or a moron. You know, I got in trouble with my wife because my son heard me say that joke, okay? And it was President's Day the other day. The teacher said, "Does anybody know who the president is?" And my son raised his hand and said, "Yeah." "And what's his name?" "My dad says he's a moron." Sorry, honey. Those are his first words. Yeah, so it's kind of rough, you know, living on the south side of Chicago. You know, I kind of enjoy it. How many people are going to vote for that Irish guy, Obama? I'm not voting for him, okay, because of his name. Barack is a Jewish name, and you ain't gonna afford. You guys already control the media. Actually, the Presbyterians control the media, okay? Not the Jewish people. You guys just run the White House, right? Any Arabs in the audience, by the way? Great security. Charlie and I lived there in the 60s when it was all Arab and Jewish and everybody hated both of us. Okay? Those are the good old days. And then, of course, we have another comedian here in Freeman. He's African American and Jewish. He moved into the neighborhood. We moved out. And when you think about it, Charlie only stole my land one time. Aaron stole it twice. Okay? The South Side home and the one in Israel. When I was a kid growing up, I remember Charlie took me to Hebrew school. I went to Radfi Shalom.
Okay.
It was show and tell. Still there every Thursday. Show and tell. I don't know why. I go, wow, show and tell again? Yeah, you're up. And the kids would come up to me and they'd say, what are you? Well, I'm an American. They go, no, you're not. I go, yes, I am. They go, no, you're not. I remember I'd go home and I'd ask my dad. I'd say, Dad, what am I? They go, oh, God, this is in the 60s. Don't tell them you're Palestinian. Tell them you're Syrian or Lebanese. Imagine it was okay to be Syrian or Lebanese back then. Right? I remember going back to school and the kids around me, they said, what are you? I said, well, I'm cereal. But I think my mother's a lesbian. I don't know. Now, we had toys. They didn't all blow up. I figure I'm safe up here by the beam, all right? We had a toy. I had a toy, a little doll. It was called G.I. Abdullah. Put him in a war. He dropped his weapons, threw his hands in the air, did that hellish scream that Sharif does. And my mom would come running downstairs, hit me on the side of the head and say, get that toy out of the house, you're scaring the sheep. This is south side of Chicago, Mom. We only have goats here, all right? My sister had a little doll. It was called Fatima Barbie. Fatima Barbie wasn't like American Barbie. It only had two accessories. One was a burqa that covered her from head to toes, face, feet. She looked like a starfish out of water. You could see nothing. Now they got a little cell phone thing that you can slip in there. And the other accessory was a mandatory brother Fatima Barbie doll, because if Fatima Barbie ever looked at another male doll brother, Fatima Barbie killed her. My sister went through 62 of those dolls. That joke is so hard to say. English is my second language. My mother's from Bethlehem. My father's from Jerusalem. And in fact, Charlie lives in our house. My mother never wanted to come here. She couldn't speak any English. For the first 16 years of my life, I had no idea who this woman was. That's your mother. Be quiet. She never wanted to be here, but she loved this country because right away she fell in love with two things. One was driving a car. My mom would get behind the wheel of the car, she'd hit that gas pedal, that car would go from 0 to 100 miles an hour in 5 seconds. And we'd be zipping around, driving every place like crazy terrorists. That's where the phrase started. And somebody would cut her off. And my mother, you could see her anger. Because with my mother, it wasn't about getting someplace in a car, it was about getting even. We would chase that guy down no matter where it was because we cut him off. And only one thing would make my mother stop. She'd see grapevines, she'd hit that brake so hard, all 30 of the kids would go flying. She'd stop that car, open the door, open the trunk, march the kids out, give us plastic bags. We stripped every leaf off of every grapevine within 5 blocks. We make grape leaves. You guys ever eat grape leaves? My mom used to make them, you know, when we cook in Arab households, we had like 5 people. We were a small family. My mother would make food for 100 people. It was amazing. So she'd say, hey, Ray, why don't you invite your little friends, Sheldon, Michael, Jeffrey, over for dinner? I'd go, okay, so we'd invite them over. She'd make grape leaves. They'd eat. They'd go back home. Their mother would say, what'd you eat at the Arab house? The best tasting dog duties we ever had. I don't fly much. I still dress in black. I go to the airport, hang out there, scare the crap out of people. I don't do nothing. I just lean back and do that thing that Arabs do. Ever have an Arab yell at you? They don't say anything. People come up to me at the airport. The most frequently asked question I get asked, are you on my flight? You have any weapons of mass destruction on you? Yeah, I ate a bowl of tabbouleh. I am a weapon of mass destruction. It'd be a terrible flight. Did you pack your bag? That is the most insulting question you can ask at the airport. Discriminatory. It's racist. I'm a man. I don't pack my bag. American. I was born in this country. I was only kicked out 3 times. I served during the Vietnam War. Tabbouleh and falafel. Very popular back then. So when I go through security, I'll do whatever they ask me to do. Just when they see me, security at the airport, they get confused. They just don't know what to do. They see me, they go, Bob, wine beat, Bob, wine beat. We got one of those people. You're not Italian. You're not Irish. You're not Mexican. Okay, sir, you can go through. Said they got the little old lady spread eagle on the ground, 5 security guards patting her down, and she's giggling. She's having a blast. Senior citizens, right? They're not traveling. They're going to the airport getting searched and strips are free. We got a few new rules under the Patriot Act 2. You look like Bin Laden, you're not going to get on the plane. I think that's pretty good, right? You know, usually I have someone that looks like Bin Laden in the audience. You got a beard with 3 or more pieces of food in it. If your wife has a beard, turn around and ask her. Not getting on that plane. If you set the rules like that, we wouldn't have had problems with that guy Richard Reed, the shoe bomber. Remember him? He was going to blow up the plane with his shoes. They promised him 72 virgins. No way. We're Arabs. We read backwards. From right to left. It's 1 virgin. She's 72 years old. We promise her to everybody. And she's a transvestite. Named Bob. We're picking on him, the poor guy. It's really tough. Now, I did travel on LL once. And I got to tell you, I'm not anti-Semitic. I'm anti-semantic. I went on the plane. I remember I had to go to the bathroom. Somebody was in it, but it didn't say occupied. It said disputed toiletry area. When I got out, Alan Dershowitz was waiting to greet me. Part of the flight and escort me back to my seat to explain why they gave it away. Really? He said I had no right of return. And Alan Dershowitz, he's great. He's written a number of books, hasn't he? Have you read his books? How many people have read his books? I love him. The first book he wrote, The Case for Israel, 1,575 pages long. Wow. Yeah. The second book was The Case for Peace, 322 pages. Now he's writing a book called The Case for the Palestinians, but no publisher will publish a book under 20 pages. Say that. I steal these. Naturally, right? It's a felony. It says right here, do not remove from the airplane. You got Southwest Airlines, British Airways, they're easy. United Airlines, or American Airlines, Canadian Air Canada, they gave this away to me. They said, please steal this. ATA, another terrorist airliner. Northwest. I stole one of these from LL. They sent them Mossad and they hunted me down. They said, you steal another one of our flight safety cards from our LL planes, and we're going to go to Ramallah and bomb the homes of 3 of your family members. I said, I don't have any relatives in Ramallah. They said, we don't care. Now, how many people, when the flight attendant says, take this out, you take it out of the back seat, right? No. Thanks for ruining my joke. You can X out these 4 future Hanania wives. They're out. I'm buying them. I take back my offer. Of course, when we promise anything, we don't really mean it. Okay? You see somebody take one of these out during the flight, call security. That's the terrorist, okay? You know how scary it is on a flight? Anyone, you ever listen to them when they're telling you your seat can be used as a flotation device in the event of an emergency landing on water? That's called a crash, okay? A lot of people come up to me all the time and they say, what's the problem between Arabs and Jews? Come on, you guys have been fighting for 100 years. You didn't just start in 1948. I know. I said, part of the problem is the Arabs. We screwed up. I want to meet the Arab guy who came up with the name of the country. Because I'm telling you, if you're Jewish, you're thinking Benstein, Feinstein, Einstein, Palestine. I want to meet this guy. If we'd been smart, we would have called the place Arabville. Raise your hand if you're Jewish and you live in a place called Arabville. People come up and they go, oh, we don't understand you. I go, we got problems with our names. Muhammad is Mike, Fareed is Fred, Assad is ass. Sam used to be Sam, but now it's Snoop Dogg. He's in Afghanistan making Burka Gone Wild videos. He is. Couldn't tell President Bush. Dick Cheney won't allow him to think. Dick Cheney is the Antichrist, isn't he? That's really unfair to the Antichrist. We got other problems like words. For example, like dromedary are not cows doing Shakespeare. Giza's not an old man. Just because I come from the Middle East and we have oil doesn't make me crude. I didn't invent pyramid schemes, and I don't wear camel jockey underwear. I don't know. The tree on the flag of Lebanon is not car air freshener. Although maybe it should be, I don't know. And Libya and labia are 2 different things. And we're blessed. Arabs and Jews, right? No wonder we don't get along. We got that sound. Can you imagine Olmert and Abbas negotiating peace? Hello! Got tabbouleh on my clothes. No, hello to you! These guys are spitting on each other for 3 hours. The green line on the map is moving all over the place. Is that a sigh? No. Are you guys married, ladies? Those are all your wives. You're Israeli, I know that. I saw you talking to the Mossad agents in the back. You got more wives than Arabs, okay? I don't know, Arabs, we're only allowed 4 wives. I've I've actually had 3. My first wife was American, the best $10,000 I ever spent. I didn't have to fill out any paperwork. I got my passport just like that. It was really great. My second wife, of course, was Arab. Remember how gorgeous she looked the very first time I was introduced to her up at the altar? Now my wife's a Jew. I didn't know she was a Jew. She said she was Jewish. I go through the airport all the time telling Ben Gurion security, I'm not an Arab, I'm Arabish. Bend over, sir. The biggest problem we have is she's a Republican and I'm a Democrat. I know, that's terrible. She keeps going, the Republican Party is the party of God. Where I come from, that's called Hezbollah. We had a great wedding. We had 900 people. We only sent out 24 invitations. We had all the Arabs on one side, all the Israelis on the other side. We didn't have a bridal party. We had a UN peacekeeping force right down the middle. On the Arab side, of course, right? And during the whole ceremony, they were flicking pita and matzo bread at each other, arguing over who invented the hummus. And there were 38 casualties during the wedding. They took 1 Israeli and 37 Arabs to the hospital. And I think my friend Jerry Snee actually wrote the story the next day in the Tribune. Or maybe it was Bonnie. Now, don't tell me you guys don't control the media. You've got more reporters in this room than you do at the Chicago Tribune newsroom. Jerry's byline, I think, on the Tribune headline the next day after our wedding that said, 1 Israeli injured at Arab terrorist meeting. That was great. I remember we were married by a rabbi, and they had a wrought iron chuppah. Handcuffed to the corner. And then they had me break the glass and they charged me. Where did he get away with that? And I remember the rabbi at the chuppah, at the ceremony, he looks at my wife, looks at me, looks at my wife, and says, Allison, do you take this man to be your lawful wedded husband? Are you nuts? Shut it up. He looked at me and he said, Ray, do you take this woman to be your lawful wedded wife? Very clever. Mr. Hanania. Hey, Allison, please take Ray's ring finger and rub it across the black ink. It took about 15 minutes for security clearance. And then, you know, when you marry someone who's Jewish, right, you have to sign something called a ketubah, which is a marriage contract. Right now, if you're smart and you're Jewish and you marry a Palestinian, which really doesn't sound like that's an oxymoron, right? If you're a Jewish person marrying a Palestinian, you add things to the contract. For example, my wife added some provisions to our ketubah, which I had no idea what it said, because it was written in Hebrew. I signed it anyway, like all Palestinians do. It doesn't refer to us as husband and wife. It refers to us as the occupier and the occupied. The chosen one, terrorist A. It says that my relatives cannot come and visit without a week's notice, a security clearance, and a visa for every member of the family. Her relatives come and go as they please. They get keys to the house. They're called settlers. Any settlers in the audience? Yeah, what are you doing here? It says that we can only get a divorce if there are 18 straight days of no violence in the Middle East. That's screwed. Now, my wife and I, we adopted a little boy. His name is Aaron, when she's around. Oh, hey, honey, how you doing? We're just going over the Torah. Baruch atah Adonai. That Mordecai is a tough one. He's thrown a couple Megillas or whatever. I don't know. My son is so patriotic, he's turned me into the FBI 3 times. It's amazing. Great little kid. 7 years old. He has all his favorite cartoon characters in his nursery. You know, Bugs Bunny, Mickey Mouse, Ariel Sharon, Benjamin Netanyahu, Jackie Mason. Actually, he and Jackie are friends. All right, that wasn't funny. I just don't want Jackie. I remember I bought him, he just turned 7 just a couple weeks ago. I bought him a little set of Legos, and he was in the backyard playing with them. And he was building something. I said, "Hey, Aaron, what are you doing? Building a wall?" He got up and he kicked me. He said it wasn't a wall, it was a fence. I said, "Aaron, if that's a fence, you can tell your mother to come here because I'm buying you both round-trip tickets to the holiest Jewish site in the Holy Land, the Wailing Fence." Now, dinner time at the Hanania household can be different. You know, you can just imagine, right? My wife would sit there and make these big meals. She can't cook, I cook, okay? She goes, "Aaron, would you tell Daddy to pass the Israeli salad?" I go, "Abdullah, would you tell Mommy we don't have Israeli salad, but we have Arab East Jerusalem salad?" "Aaron, tell your dad I'm going to drop the hummus on his head." But she's very nice. She said she's going to be fair. She's going to divide the house equally. I don't even need to finish the joke, right? She gets 78%, I get 22. And I got a green line around the bed. Were excited when we started the new peace process, right? And you know why this one is more hopeful? Because we sent women, right? President Bush sent Condoleezza Rice. Ehud Olmert sent Zippy Livni. She's hot. I surrender to her. I will make her my 4th wife. The Arabs sent a woman, we sent Mahmoud Abbas. And if you think about it, if women can negotiate, I mean, they're much better when it comes to roadmaps, right? Women know where they're going. You know, we men, we don't read maps. We go wherever until we run out of gas or we get robbed. Women will read the roadmap. And I'll tell you, they'll do things different. Instead of a green line, it'll be a pink line made out of lace, maybe. Much more appealing. Instead of destroying homes, we'll be decorating homes, right? Instead of swapping land, we'd be mixing and matching. You know, I think all. And women, when they say no or yes, we know they mean no, right? What do I know about women? I've been married 3 times. I don't know anything about it. Now, people come up to me all the time and they go, Are you upset about Israel's 60th anniversary? And I go, "No, I'm not." "You happy?" I go, "Yeah, I'm really happy." They go, "You are? Aren't you Palestinian?" I go, "Yeah, I'm Palestinian. My mother's from Bethlehem. Jesus was a relative of ours." They go, "Well, why aren't you mad at the Israelis at 60 years? I said, "Look, because 60 years, that's great, because, you know, in 5 years, they're going to do what every Jew does. They're going to turn 65, they're going to retire, they're going to get their pension, and they're going to move to Miami." Throw a party. It's going to be a blast. Listen, you guys have been great. I just want to thank you so much for inviting me.